residents are taking this fight to state leaders, speaking out against a multi-billion-dollar plan to build new transmission lines. As KLTV7's April Peardon reports, East Texas landowners fear these giant structures will ruin private property and the future of rural Texas.
Mention East Texas and many people picture rural life. Cows, horses, wide open land. But Canton resident Nancy White warns that image is in danger. She says massive power lines will completely take over rural Texas if state leaders do not act soon.
The lines will be taller than the Statue of Liberty. They'll be wider. They're about 200 feet.
The power lines are part of a proposal of Texas 765 kilovolt strategic transmission expansion plan, estimated at $33 billion in capital costs and nearly $100 billion in lifetime costs for electric customers.
The biggest thing we need to do is we need to pause it, reflect on where's the need of it, what's the long-term implications of it, and is it worth what we're spending?
Advocates say the 765 kilovolt lines plan will strengthen the Texas power grid and secure power reliability. They are designed to help the Permian Basin, where oil, gas, and data centers could push energy demand to 26 gigawatts by 2038. However, opponents warn the project will open the door for more data centers, wind turbines, and solar farms, all while raising electricity bills.
They're already started in East Texas. Where I live in Canton, they had projected 9 batteries, 7 solar, 1 wind, and now we have a potential data center.
Molly Vogt, state director for American Energy Works, says the lines will seize over 70,000 acres of private land.
I've talked to many landowners, multi-generational ranchers, farmers that have been pouring their life into their land, their blood, sweat, and tears, all of their retirement funds, and they are fearful that this land is going to be taken from them. And so it's everything to them.
Vogue also says this will have a huge impact on the future of American food supply.
We are importing beef right now. When we in America don't have our own food supply and we're reliant on another country to provide that for us, then we are no longer a free country.
For White, growing the Texas energy grid should not require sacrificing agricultural land.
Nobody says that you have to destroy land to grow. There's plenty of condemned or broken down buildings in the city that can be cleaned up and reused. There's plenty of structural space on top of them for energy. There's no need to consume that land.
April Peardon, KLTV 7 News.
Now, nearly 200 landowners and utility reps spoke at that Senate hearing yesterday, including country singer Tanya Tucker, who is against